Okay, hello and welcome everyone. Welcome to JFD Traders Tea Time with me, Darius Anucauskas. Today's the 12th of September 2019, so welcome everyone. Welcome to this Thursday's afternoon session where we're going to have a quick look at the markets, a few of the charts, the usual stuff. But before we do that, as always, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimer. So, the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation, should not be considered as such, and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. There's always a few seconds for you to read the rest, and we can continue. Also, before we jump into the charts, quick mentioning of our JFD YouTube channel, to which you can always subscribe to in order not to miss any of our upcoming videos, and of course our JFD Bank website, but specifically our JFD research page, which we update on a daily basis, and I believe you can find a lot of useful stuff here and there for yourselves, guys. So feel free to check us out. So I hope you can hear me okay. Lately I'm having some technical issues, so I hope, like I said, you have a nice image and you can hear my voice clearly. So and that means we can jump into the charts. Now the first one I want to touch on here is the Dow Jones Industrial Average Index. So looking at this one, I talked about Dow Jones yesterday, and basically what I was saying, that if we see a further push higher here above the 26,720 zone here, then yep, we could see a test of this 27,070 area. But of course, as you can see, the index overshot that and kind of closed nicely around the 27,137. So looking at the cash index right now, we are currently trading at around 27,200, something like that. Well, let's see how this is going to open today, and if it's going to remain here as the cash index, if the cash index remains there until the opening bell, then yep, we'll have a nice gap to the upside here, and it will be quite interesting to see if the index is going to be able to travel towards its all-time highs, or maybe even overcome those. I mean, who knows? For now, we are going to be targeting the previous highs here near the 27,398.99 zone, and then of course it will be very interesting to see if the index could actually dip a little bit above it, and this is where we could see, in a way. I mean, we could see a nice break above this, but we could see a small, like I said, dip above it, and but if it, let's say, doesn't close above the previous all-time high, then well, it will be interesting. We could see maybe a bit of correction here back down. But again, for now, like I said, we are more positive than negative on this one, on Dow Jones, and it will be very interesting to see if it actually can reach that. So for now, we are targeting that level. In case, let's say, this suddenly reverses and drops back below the 27,070 area, we will be very careful, cautious, and then we will examine the psychological 27,000 level, because if it drops below that, then we could maybe see this one sliding back down towards maybe a retest of this tentative upside line here that has been running here from around the 23rd of August. So a very short term, very tentative line, but nevertheless we're still keeping it on our chart, and we'll have a look at that then. For now, we are, like I said, we are more positive than negative on this one. But again, like I said, keep your eyes on some of these key support areas, like the 27,070. If that gets broken, then we might see a bit of correction to the downside. For now, everything's kind of leaning more towards the upside, and it's going to be quite interesting to see if actually we can reach the all-time highs again. So let's see how it plays out. DXY, I talked about this one this morning, and basically this is what I was talking about. Because if this level here, the 98.50 level holds, we could see a nice push higher here towards the 98.93 zone. So this morning we saw this one kind of drifting lower, testing the 98.50 zone, dropping below that, but kind of failing to move below its pivot, and then reversing and kind of didn't even actually close a 4-hour candle below this 98.50. So this played out in a way as a nice area of support. Yes, we did have our false breakout, but that's why it is a false breakout. So and you can see that it accelerated higher. It broke above the 98.93 zone, even broke above the 99 zone as well. And but as you can see, the bears are kind of trying to push this one back down a little bit here. Let's see if they actually manage to keep the price below this 98.93, because if they manage to do so, then we'll be very careful tomorrow. We may see maybe this one correcting back down a little bit here. So in a way, if we see something like this, and let me just draw this one on the chart. So if we see a hold up near this 98.93 zone, if it struggles to close above this, and especially if it struggles to close a daily candle above this, then well, we could see this one reversing back down a little bit and maybe drifting towards the downside. But again, for now, everything's looking quite positive here, especially if we see another push above the 98.93. This is where it will become interesting, because we will be targeting then the 99.37 zone, which was marked by the high of the 3rd of September. So in a way, if I put a bunch of arrows here, in a way for now, this is what we need. We need to see a clear push above the 98.93, and maybe also ideally above the today's R1, which is around the 98.96, just 3 points higher. And yep, then we could target the this area higher here. I'm not saying it's good. It could be today, but maybe something for tomorrow or maybe next week. So again, all eyes are on the 98.93. Let's see if it holds. If it doesn't, if it breaks above this, then yep, it could be opening the path further north. But if it holds, we could maybe see a bit of a correction here to the downside, and then we'll take it from there. EURJPY. So all eyes are on the euro, and this is what I was talking about this morning. Basically, keep your eyes on the euro. So technically speaking, yes, we of course, I mean, fundamentally, we saw the ECB lowering its deposit rate, and by as well as it was expected. But this is the reaction that we had here, and especially the euro kind of sold off heavily against or a bunch of against most of its or all of its major counterparts. So you can see that the EURJPY dropped below this 118.31 zone. This is what I talked about this morning. So if we see a drop below this, this in a way increases the chances for a further slide towards the 117.69 or even the 117.23 zone. So, but of course, this never managed. The pair never managed to reach this level, but it managed to perfectly hit this one. Slightly overshot it, but as you can see, the bulls are really fighting hard right now to get this one back. And let's see if it actually managed to get this one back above the 118.31, because if they do, well, this is going to be quite interesting, because if we see a daily close today above this 118.31 zone, then well, the bulls have a good chance to reverse this one and push it back towards the 119.17 zone. So this will be quite interesting to see. Let's see. Like I said, for now, you can see that the bulls are really fighting strong. They are really pushing this one back to the upside here. Keep an eye on the 118.31. If it stays above this, then, well, like I said, we could see another push higher here, another maybe attempt to break through the 119.17 level. But again, I wouldn't say that it could be today. Maybe this is something for tomorrow. So keep your eyes on this one. Euro dollar, also quite an interesting one. And this is what I talked about this morning as well. Basically, we are, or it wasn't this morning, it was yesterday, basically, I was talking about. So if we see a drop below the 1.1024, then yep, there is a good chance we could see this one sliding further down, especially if we see a slide below the 1.1008 zone. So we saw a drop below that. It tested our key level here near the 1.0975, and it actually continued to drift lower and almost managed to reach our 1.0924 zone. This is the low basically of September. And you can see the bulls are really fighting hard right now and really pushing this one back up here. So it's going to be very interesting to see if they actually manage to bring the rate back above this 1.1020, 1.2024, 25 zone, because this is the area that we're going to be keeping a close eye on still. I do understand it was violated a few times, but still kind of the pair continues to balance around it. And if we see a push back above the 1.1024, we could see this one pushing even higher again. Maybe this time, maybe it could go and test the 200 EMA here on the 4-hour chart, or this downside resistance line taken from the high of June this year. So again, like I said, for now, be very careful. You can see that it's kind of moving up and down, and it's very tricky. So in a way, this, if like I said, if the bears cannot take control again of this one, we could see this one reversing and maybe pushing back above the psychological 110 zone again, and maybe then we could see that move above the 1.1024 area. For now, again, we are very careful here. It's again trying to test this 1.0975. If it drops below this 1.975 zone, then well, we will reconsider a possible move here back down towards the 1.0924 area, or even lower. But again, for now, keep your eyes on this 1.0975. Let's see how this is going to play out. And if let's say today it stays around here somewhere, or let's say closer to the 1.0975, then maybe tomorrow we could have this a good opportunity here for a further drift lower. But like I said, for now, let's see how this day is going to close, because at this point in time, I think Mario Draghi has already finished talking, but you can see this activity here. The bulls and the bears are really trying to fight it hard, and both of the sides are really trying to take control here. So like I said, keep your eyes on the 1.0975. Even if, let's say, we see a drop below this 1.0975, now this is where probably the bears could have more chances for pushing this one further to the downside. But in order to get comfortable for the bulls here, ideally we would like to see this one pushing back above the 1.10 zone, or even better, the 1.1024 area. So let's keep an eye on this one. GBPNZD, quite an interesting pair. I talked about GBP Aussie this morning, and it's slightly on a similar side here basically. So the pair, GBPNZD here is kind of coiling up a little bit here. So let me just quickly show you what I'm talking about. So it's basically stuck here above this short-term kind of short-term upside support line, and at the same time it's trading below this tentative downside resistance line, also a short-term one. So this one, the downside line, is taken from the high of the 28th of August, and the upside line is taken from the low of the 3rd of September. So what we're going to do here is we're going to wait. We're going to wait until we see a nice, good, clear breakthrough one of the sides here, and only then we'll consider a possible move higher. I do understand that there's quite a bit of a territory here, but to be honest, it's very tricky. It might move higher right now. It might test the downside line here and may reverse again back down. So that's why, until it's kind of maintained within this or we can call it a triangle actually as well. So until it's kind of, or should I say veg, until it's maintained inside this veg, we will remain neutral. We're just going to continue observing this one. But once it decides to break out of this, then it could be quite interesting for both of the sides, so for the bulls and the bears. USD-CAD, last pair for this session. So having a nice pop here to the upside. So the US dollar is strengthening, and as you saw by the DXY when we looked at earlier. So you can see that USD-CAD is now making its way higher. It's breaking above the 1.32 zone, and this is what I talked about. This is what I talked about yesterday in my Traders Espresso, where I was saying that basically we needed to see a nice good pop above the 1.32 zone before we could examine some higher levels. The only thing is the problem here with the higher levels, for us to get more excited and to get more comfortable with higher levels, well, ideally we need to see a nice good push above this 1.3250 zone. But don't get me wrong, from the very short-term perspective, for now, yes, a break above the 1.32 zone could in a way lead this pair a little bit higher towards the 1.3221 or even towards the 1.3250 here, and then we'll take it from there, see if it actually wants to break above this. But to be honest, if it will travel here, it probably might as well break this level and push higher. But again, for now, this is just a little bit of speculation, let's put it that way. For now, what we're going to do here is how we're going to play this one. So given that it broke above the 1.32 level here, one of our key resistance zones, yes, we will continue aiming for slightly higher levels. We will aim up until here, up until the 200 EMA. Slightly above that, we do have that 1.3250 area, 4850. But initially, we will target the 200 EMA on the 4-hour chart, and that's around the 1.3237 zone. So I know it's not far from where it is right now, but let's see. Well, it's better to be safe than sorry. So, but if it starts pushing above the 1.324850 zone, then we will aim for higher levels again here. In terms of the downside, if this suddenly drops back below the 1.3180, then we will consider a possible move back down towards these recent lows, or should I say this week's lows. And let me just quickly mark that on our chart here. This is what I'm talking about. So 1.3229 could be a nice potential target if we see a drop back below the 1.3180 zone. So keep your eyes on this one. Very interesting pair, but at the same time very tricky. So again, like I said, after it exited this previous range that I talked about in a few of my videos previously, it drifted lower, but one of our targets was here around the 1.3113. But as you can see, it reversed earlier from it. It didn't even quite reach that, and well, it's a bit of a shame, of course, but it did travel lower and did almost kind of get to this point here. But now we're going to be very careful. Yes, it did show some strength here, but let's see if that strength can be maintained. And the reason why I'm saying that we're only going to target here the 200 EMA on the 4-hour chart, because because it's for now it's below this, and if it struggles to push above its 200 EMA, then this could be a bit of a bearish sign, and we could see this one reversing back to the downside. So in a way, for now, the way you could look at this is, yes, we will aim for higher levels a little bit, but initially we'll only aim for the 200 EMA. If it struggles to push above it, or even struggles to push above the 1.3248 here, then we could see another leg of selling here. So that's why, guys, be very careful with this one. Let's see how this is going to play out. But again, for now, that's the situation. If this one decides not to travel towards the 200 EMA and starts reversing earlier, like I said, we will wait for a drop below the 1.3180 and only then consider further declines. Okay, guys, I hope